Hey everybody, Chad Wesley Smith here from Juggernaut Training Systems and JTSStrength.com. Going to answer some training questions that I got through Facebook. Make sure you guys head over to Juggernaut Training Systems page on Facebook and like that for us. We do weekly live Q&As there with various members of our training log team, and you can ask me questions and I'll answer them in videos like this, or just type the answer out there in the page, or maybe if it's a really good question, turn it into an article. First question is from Ed Stedman. Ed asks about how to develop alactic power and alactic capacity with athletes of different sports. So that's a pretty big question. More than I'm going to go into in this video. But energy system training is really what conditioning is, and conditioning is such a big word that encompasses so many different things. Alactic power and alactic capacity. Being a part of that. So alactic power, is maximum output in one endeavor. So like how much, how far, how fast, how high, in just one single effort. So like a 60 meter sprint, standing long jump, vertical jump, 1 rep max squat, power clean, whatever it is. That's an example of alactic power. So the way that you need to develop alactic power is through full recovery alactic drills. Just like all the things I just listed. Really, any sprint, jump, explosive throw, whether that's medicine ball, shot, pud, sandbag, all kinds of different things, or your big lifts, squat, bench, push press, deadlift, power clean, snatch. Any of those things done with complete rest, at maximum intensity, or submaximal weight but moving the bar with maximal speed. All those are going to be how you're going to develop alactic power. Alactic capacity development is kind of the easiest way for me to explain that is if you haven't had an athlete who runs a 5 flat 40 to develop their alactic capacity. They need to be running as many 5 flat to 5-1, 5-1-5 40s as possible with short rest periods, and those rest periods will vary. As you're looking at developing alactic capacity for specific sports, whether it's football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, whatever it is, those rest periods are going to be determined by the sport. Football, depending on the system your athletes are in. If you had someone who plays at the University of Oregon and they're trying to snap the ball every 15 seconds, their alactic capacity work is going to need to be based around 15-second rest periods. So maybe they're going to do, for example, our football players, our linemen will do usually 10 to 15 yard sprints. Big skill guys, which are tight ends, linebackers, fullbacks, are doing more 20, 25 yard sprints. And our small skill guys, which are defensive backs, wide receivers, they're going to do at 25, 30, 35 yard sprints. Just because, the different positions cover different distances on each play. And then, but they're doing that with incomplete rest periods. So when we're looking to develop alactic power, we're usually taking 30 seconds for every 10 yards of work that the athletes are doing. So if they're running 10 yard sprints, they'll take 30 seconds rest. 20 yard sprints, 1 minute rest. 30 yard sprints, 90 seconds rest. That's between each rep. So it's very full recovery, and it's going to feel very foreign to a lot of your athletes, because so few team sport athletes have ever done true alactic power work before. But then when you get to this alactic capacity work, you got to base those rest periods around the rest that they're getting in between plays. So if it's football, it's pretty cut and dry because they're going to be back in the huddle in between each play. But when you get into sports like basketball or soccer, where there's not true breaks between each play, it's just things are just interspersed, between different intensities. They'll sprint and then walk and jog, run, sprint, jump, all that stuff mixed up. And what you really need to do there is a time motion analysis. You can do it yourself just through, watching some game films and recording, all right, this athlete sprinted for this much time or this distance, and then they jogged for this and that. But you can also Google that and probably find some information online there. You're just gonna have to be able to break it down. But I think as I say that, it's probably a good idea for us at Juggernaut to do an article about that for you, breaking down a time motion analysis of the different major team sports. So look for that in the future. Hopefully that got you started in the right direction, Ed, and anyone else who's watching. Thank you.